Episode 40. Come on, Jenny told him. If we get a move on, we'll be able to save them places. Right, said Harry, picking up Hedwig's cage in one hand and the handle of his trunk in the other. They struggled off down the corridor, peering through the glass-paneled doors into the compartments as they passed, which were already full. Harry could not help noticing that a lot of people stared back at him with great interest, and that several of them nudged their neighbors and pointed him out. After he had met this behavior in 5 consecutive carriages, he remembered that the Daily Prophet had been telling its readers all summer what a lying show-off he was. He wondered bleakly whether the people now staring and whispering believed the stories. In the very last carriage they met Neville Longbottom, Harry's fellow fifth-year Gryffindor, his round face shining with the effort of pulling his trunk along and maintaining a one-handed grip on his struggling toad, Trevor. "Hi, Harry," he panted. "Hi, Ginny. Everywhere's full. I can't find a seat." "What are you talking about?" said Ginny, who had squeezed past Neville to peer into the compartment behind him. "There's room in this one. There's only Loony Lovegood in there." Neville mumbled something about not wanting to disturb anyone. "Don't be silly," said Ginny, laughing. "She's all right." She slid the door open and pulled her trunk inside it. Harry and Neville followed. "Hi, Luna," said Ginny. "Is it okay if we take these seats?" The girl beside the window looked up. She had straggly, waist-length, dirty blonde hair, very pale eyebrows, and protuberant eyes that gave her a permanently surprised look. Harry knew at once why Neville had chosen to pass this compartment by. The girl gave off an aura of distinct dottiness. Perhaps it was the fact that she had stuck her wand behind her left ear for safekeeping, or that she had chosen to wear a necklace of butterbeer caps, or that she was reading a magazine upside down. Her eyes ranged over Neville and came to rest on Harry. She nodded. "Thanks," said Ginny, smiling at her. Harry and Neville stowed the 3 trunks and Hedwig's cage in the luggage rack and sat down. The girl called Luna watched them over her upside-down magazine, which was called The Quibbler. She did not seem to need to blink as much as normal humans. She stared and stared at Harry, who had taken the seat opposite her and now wished he had not. "Had a good summer, Luna?" Ginny asked. "Yes," said Luna dreamily, without taking her eyes off Harry. "Yes, it was quite enjoyable, you know. You're Harry Potter," she added. "I know I am," said Harry. Neville chuckled. Luna turned her pale eyes upon him instead. "And I don't know who you are." "I'm nobody," said Neville hurriedly. "No, you're not," said Ginny sharply. "Neville Longbottom, Luna Lovegood. Luna's in my year, but in Ravenclaw." "Wit beyond measure is man's greatest treasure," said Luna in a sing-song voice. She raised her upside-down magazine high enough to hide her face and fell silent. Harry and Neville looked at each other with their eyebrows raised. Ginny suppressed a giggle. The train rattled onward, speeding them out into open country. It was an odd, unsettled sort of day. One moment the carriage was full of sunlight, and the next they were passing beneath ominously gray clouds. "Guess what I got for my birthday?" said Neville. "Another Remember-all," said Harry, remembering the marble-like device Neville's grandmother had sent him in an effort to improve his abysmal memory. "No," said Neville. "I could do with one, though. I lost the old one ages ago. No, look at this. He dug the hand that was not keeping a firm grip on Trevor into his school bag and, after a little bit of rummaging, pulled out what appeared to be a small gray cactus in a pot, except that it was covered with what looked like boils rather than spines. Mimbulus mimbletonia, he said proudly. Harry stared at the thing. It was pulsating slightly, giving it the rather sinister look of some diseased internal organ. It's really rare, said Neville, beaming. I don't know if there's one in the greenhouse at Hogwarts even. I can't wait to show it to Professor Sprout. My great-uncle Algy got it for me in Assyria. I'm going to see if I can breed from it. Harry knew that Neville's favorite subject was herbology, but for the life of him he could not see what he would want with this stunted little plant. Does it do anything? He asked. Loads of stuff, said Neville proudly. It's got an amazing defensive mechanism. Hold Trevor for me. He dumped the toad into Harry's lap and took a quill from his school bag. Luna Lovegood's popping eyes appeared over the top of her upside-down magazine again, watching what Neville was doing. Neville held the Mimbulus mimbletonia up to his eyes, his tongue between his teeth, chose his spot, and gave the plant a sharp prod with the tip of his quill. Liquid squirted from every boil on the plant, thick, stinking, dark green jets of it. They hit the ceiling, the windows, and spattered Luna Lovegood's magazine. Ginny, who had flung her arms up in front of her face just in time, merely looked as though she was wearing a slimy green hat. But Harry, whose hands had been busy preventing the escape of Trevor, received a faceful. It smelled like rancid manure. Neville, whose face and torso were also drenched, shook his head to get the worst of it out of his eyes. Sorry, he gasped. I haven't tried that before. Didn't realize it would be quite so. Don't worry, though. Stink sap's not poisonous, he added nervously as Harry spat a mouthful out onto the floor. At that precise moment, the door of their compartment slid open. Oh, hello, Harry, said a nervous voice. Bad time? Harry wiped the lenses of his glasses with his Trevor-free hand. A very pretty girl with long, shiny black hair was standing in the doorway, smiling at him. Cho Chang, the seeker on the Ravenclaw Quidditch team. Oh, hi, said Harry blankly. Said Cho. Well, just thought I'd say hello. Bye then. She closed the door again, rather pink in the face, and departed. Harry slumped back in his seat and groaned. He would have liked Cho to discover him sitting with a group of very cool people, laughing their heads off at a joke he had just told. He would not have chosen to be sitting with Neville and Loony Lovegood, clutching a toad and dripping in stink sap. Never mind, said Ginny bracingly. Look, we can get rid of all this easily. She pulled out her wand. Scourgify. The stink sap vanished. Sorry, said Neville again in a small voice. Ron and Hermione did not turn up for nearly an hour, by which time the food trolley had already gone by. Harry, Ginny, and Neville had finished their pumpkin pasties and were busy swapping chocolate frog cards when the compartment door slid open and they walked in, accompanied by Crookshanks and a shrilly hooting Pigwidgeon in his cage. I'm starving, said Ron, stowing Pigwidgeon next to Hedwig, grabbing a chocolate frog from Harry and throwing himself into the seat next to him. He ripped open the wrapper, bit off the frog's head, and leaned back with his eyes closed, as though he'd had a very exhausting morning. Well, there are 2 fifth-year prefects from each house, said Hermione, looking thoroughly disgruntled as she took her seat. Boy and girl from each. And guess who's a Slytherin prefect, said Ron, still with his eyes closed.